Are you ready? Let's go. Gather round and listen to stories from all over the world, sparking creativity and desire. Stories that will inspire. Come on, sit down. It's the best podcast in town. Professor Panda with story adventures.
Welcome back, scholars, to short stories and poetry. It's me, Professor Panda, and I thank you for joining me on another adventure. Today's adventure, scholars, is all about our friends the mice and a couple of children named Hansel and Gretel. See, the children get lost in the woods, and the mice need a good plan to get by the cat of the house. Scholars, before we get into our adventures today, I want to catch up with you. Has it been a good day, scholars? Have you taken the time to be grateful for all that you are and all that you have? Scholars, I thank you for joining me on these story adventures. As we take these adventures, scholars, I grow each day, learning new things and having new thoughts, scholars. I just hope that you enjoy the journeys with me. Well, scholars, our story adventure will have no shortage of fun because we got many a place to go and many a people to see. Scholars, are you in your perfect reading state? Have you been grateful today, scholars? Don't forget, scholars, you have all the time in the world to take your deep breaths, to calm down, and make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Because, scholars, I love to see you every time you join me on our adventures. So let's get to our adventure, scholars. Our friends are waiting. First, we're going to go see how the mice get past this cat, and then we're going to see if we can help Hansel and Gretel reach the end of the woods. Let's go, scholars.
The Mice in Council. Once there was a large family of mice who lived in a big old house. Everything would have been perfect except for one thing: the cat who lived there too. Each time the mice crept into the kitchen to nibble for a few crumbs, the cat would pounce and chase them under the floorboards. "If we don't come up with a plan soon, we'll starve," cried Grandfather Mouse. But the mice couldn't agree to a single idea. Finally, the youngest mouse had a brainstorm. "We could put a bell on the cat's collar so we can hear him coming," he suggested. All of the mice thought this was an excellent plan. Then Grandfather Mouse stood up. "You're a very smart mouse, young fellow, to come up with such an idea," he said. "But tell me, who is going to be brave enough to put the bell on the cat's collar?" The moral of the story is, it is sometimes easy to think of a clever plan, but it can be much more difficult to carry it out. Hansel and Gretel. Once upon a time, there were two children named Hansel and Gretel. They lived in a small cottage at the edge of the forest with their father, a poor woodcutter, and their stepmother. One evening, the family had nothing left to eat but a few crusts of bread. Hansel and Gretel went to bed hungry. As they lay in their beds, they heard their parents talking. "There are too many mouths to feed," said the stepmother. We must take the children into the thickest part of the forest and leave them there. Never, cried their father. But the next morning, Hansel and Gretel's stepmother woke them up early. Get up, she ordered. We're going into the forest to chop wood. She handed them each a crust of bread for their lunch. With a heavy heart, the woodcutter led his children into the forest. As they walked along, Hansel secretly dropped a trail of breadcrumbs along the path. When they reached the middle of the forest, the woodcutter said, Wait here. We'll return at sunset. Hansel and Gretel waited all day long, but their father and stepmother didn't come back. Soon it was dark among the thick trees, and Gretel was frightened. Don't worry, said Hansel, cuddling his sister. We'll follow the trail of breadcrumbs I dropped along the path. They will lead us home. But when the moon came up, they couldn't see any crumbs. Oh no, the birds must have eaten them all, whispered Hansel. Hansel and Gretel curled up under a tree and fell fast asleep. The next morning, they wandered through the forest until they came into a little cottage made of gingerbread and cakes. The children were so hungry they picked cakes off the house and crammed them into their mouths. Just then, the door opened and an old woman hobbled out. Come in, children, she said, smiling. I've got plenty more food in here. The old woman fed them well and then put them to bed. But Hansel and Gretel didn't know that old woman was actually a wicked witch who liked to eat children. When Hansel and Gretel woke up, the witch grabbed Hansel and locked him in a cage. She set Gretel to work cooking huge meals to fatten him up. The weeks went by, and every morning the witch went up to the cage, asking Hansel to put out his finger. I want to feel if you are fat enough to eat, she said. Hansel, being a smart boy, held out an old chicken bone instead. The witch's eyesight was so bad that she thought the bone was Hansel's finger. One day, the witch got tired of waiting for the boy to get fatter and decided to cook him right away. Grabbing Gretel's arm, she said, Go and check if the oven is hot enough. And she pushed Gretel towards the open oven door. Grinning horribly, she licked her cracked lips. She was planning to eat Gretel too, and couldn't wait for her delicious meal. I'm too big to fit in there, said Gretel, guessing the witch's wicked plan. You silly girl, crackled the witch. Even I could fit in there, and she stuck her head inside. With a great big shove, Gretel pushed the witch into the oven and slammed the door shut. Hansel, the witch is dead, cried Gretel, unlocking her brother's cage. As the children made their way out of the house, they found chests crammed with gold and sparkling jewels. They filled their pockets and set off for home. The father was overjoyed to see them. He told them that their stepmother had died while they were gone, so they had nothing to fear anymore. Hansel and Gretel showed their father the treasure. We will never go hungry again, he cried. And they all lived happily ever after. The end.
So, scholars, what did you think of these story adventures? Our mice friends had made good plans, but the wise old mouse understood that even the best laid plans takes a little bit of bravery, and it did not seem that there was a brave mouse amongst the mice. So, scholars, have you practiced your acts of bravery today? Don't forget, scholars, that fear is unreal. It is false evidence appearing real based on your mind. So if you can get over the fear, scholars, then you can do anything. Just like our story with Hansel and Gretel, our smart children may have been in dire peril, but they did not let fear get the best of them. They used their wits and they used their ingenuity to make sure they got out of the situation alive. Scholars, these short stories and poetry have tired me out something special, but I appreciate you coming on another story adventure with me. I do cherish our time together, and I appreciate the time that you take with me. If you love our story adventures, scholars, don't forget that they're everywhere where you get pods. All you have to do is join us each week as we'll have a new story adventures. And if you want more of our content, scholars, you can always go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. We have Calm Down Corner, our sing-along jukebox, and much more. And if you want to support our story adventure, scholars, just visit our website, pceocentral.com. We have workbooks, learning material, and much more. Don't forget, scholars, until next time, keep reading.